Hi and welcome everyone. Thanks for attending Criticisms and GigaOM's webinar, the top 2014 mobile trends that will impact your mobile strategy. In this webinar, over the next 45 minutes or so, we will discuss the key 2014 trends in mobile development, architecture, and performance analytics. We are very pleased to have as a featured guest speaker Bob Egan, Chief Analyst and Founder of the Sepharim Group and GigaOM Contributing Analyst, as well as Kalyan Ramanathan, CMO of Criticism. Very quickly, just want to go over a few housekeeping items so we can move this along smoothly. First things first, all of our phone lines will be muted. We will have a Q&A session at the end of this webinar. Please type in any questions that you may have in the box that you see on your screen, and we will try to get to as many as we can at the end of the session. Also, we have a few Twitter handles that you'd like to post some comments. One is hashtag 2014 mobile strategy, and also at Bob Egan, and also at Kalyan at work. Okay, let's begin. It's my pleasure to introduce Criticism CMO, Kalyan Ramanathan.
Bob, I think you were going next, so do you want to start out this presentation at this point?
Well, great. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for spending the next hour with us. Once again, my name is Bob Egan. I'm Chief Analyst and Founder of the Sepharim Group, and I'm really pleased to work with Kalyan and Group and also GigaOM. Next slide, I guess Sepharim Group, just to give you a sense, is a mobile strategy, market intelligence, advisory and consulting company. And key of what we do is to really look at underlying trends and technologies and solutions, helping large organizations build mobile strategies for today and tomorrow. Next slide. Just continue on. So I think the general theme that I wanted to talk about today is the perfect storm that I see being set up inside of 2014. I mean, generally, 2013 was not a particularly remarkable year in the area of enterprise mobile. I mean, by contrast, I think 2014 is setting up to be very exciting, very fast-paced, and quite disruptive. I think the analogy here is that many CIOs and their organizations have been sitting on a river's edge, watching the cold, fast-moving water, but a little bit afraid to jump in, hoping that the waters may calm down. I think what's happened, certainly in 2013, spurred by some of the innovation that we've seen in the retail space, the hospitality space, the travel space, but generally within the enterprise market, CIOs are realizing that the mobile river, if you will, is going wild, and that they really need to dive in and figure out how to thrive and survive in 2014. And I think, 2014, therefore, is setting up to be a perfect storm. Over the next 25 minutes or so, I'm going to talk about what I think the mobile forces of nature are that are driving this storm, some predictions to watch in 2014, and then follow up with some recommendations. Next slide. So why? What's driving all this? And let's just move right on. So, we hear a lot of talk about mobile and cloud and social and this thing that's emerging called the Internet of Things or the Internet of Us. And we hear those discussions mostly in the individual sense. In other words, people talk about mobile, they talk about social, they talk about cloud. But very few people have really been talking about these in the collective sense. And I think if you think about it for a minute, mobile, cloud, mobile, social engagement, including collaboration within the enterprise, and the Internet of Things are really force multipliers against each other. Let me give you a couple examples. If you think about Facebook, at the end of the year for 2013, Facebook said that they grew their mobile users by about 45%, and they grew the daily mobile activities at about a rate of 25%. So it's a great combination where we see cloud technology, we see social collaboration, and we see various screen entry points from various mobile devices taking advantage of those kinds of services. In the enterprise, beyond email, I think mobile really means cloud. And for many organizations, I think that when you think about the combinations of these things and think about what the enterprise architecture of the future is, a lot of these things are really coalescing to be those key force multipliers which are driving sort of the re-engineering of IT architectures. And frankly, I think we're just getting started. Next slide. So what's the whys and what's the hows behind what I think these force multipliers are? Well, I think the first thing is that device volumes are going to continue to explode and be driven by faster, lower cost, richer hardware designs. And with this explosion, I think in devices, we're going to see exponential growth in wireless traffic, upwards to 7x over the next 10 years. And we'll also see exponential growth in the need for areas like storage, opportunities associated with wearables, the sensorization of the world, and including a spotlight in areas like home and auto connectivity. Next, continuing on the device theme, this global forecast associated with devices not only means that there's a lot of devices, but the diversity of those devices, the diversity of the operating systems, of the screen sizes, and whether they're actually screens or not, in the case of M2M, I think is really going to be critical. And so when you think about building a mobile strategy, I think it's really critical that you have to be thinking about incorporating a multi-screen strategy. And as I mentioned a minute ago, in the case of missing screen strategies, in the case of M2M. And you've got to do this across a wide range of software and hardware footprints, operating systems. And in fact, I think one of the big observations we'll notice over the next 10 years is that hardware design becomes almost as cool and almost as valuable as software design has been over the last 10 years. So it's going to be a very, very interesting time when we think about what's happening with devices, the peripheral ecosystem, and what that all means. Next slide. I think in the case of mobile as a force multiplier, we're really just getting started. And I think by 2016, as we're moving to more of this app economy, nearly $1 of every 5 that is spent on applications will actually be consumed in the cloud. I think it's important to understand that we're moving from this area around client-server computing, where we've adapted shared experiences versus via a software in a box, by organizational roles through homogeneous Windows environments, to a much more individually personalized and task-oriented experience based on applications and personalized interfaces, where information is really the key shared element, not the experience. Now, as organizations migrate to this application task-oriented metaphor that's largely been brought about or is being brought about by mobile, I think a lot of organizations are choosing to modernize the nature of IT. And frankly, a lot of that means migrating into IT as a service and moving a lot of their back-end services, certainly the net new ones, into the cloud. And thus, I think mobile equals cloud, and in the long run, will be seen as a key element within the re-engineering of IT and the associated infrastructure and how services are delivered in the way that we know it today. Next slide. I think one of the key byproducts that comes from mobile are the sea changes in user behavior, especially in the way people collaborate, the way they interact, how they influence and be influenced within their family, their work, their friends, and their affinity circles. And mobile is also creating sea changes in the way people shop, the way they transact, the great affinities, and they pay for goods and services. And on the enterprise front, I think one of the key yet unspoken metrics behind the success of high-value employees is clearly related to their connectedness. And on that front, I think their ability to interact, transact, and collaborate with peer groups and the hierarchy is really key, including that within the customer environment. And so I can't pick the winners and losers in social today, and Facebook and Twitter dominance may in fact diminish. But I think it's really important that in the context of building a mobile strategy, that social engagement in some form is here to stay, inside the enterprise and outside the enterprise. It will become a norm and the fact of life in what I call digital nature, and it's going to have its pros and its minuses. The minuses is a lot about privacy, and I put that all in the category of digital exhaust, which is really key for organizations as they develop their mobile strategies to ensure they have great governance policies in place. Next slide. Let me offer you some predictions for 2014. I think the first one here is that, we've spent a lot of time talking about the blistering speed of apps and what people do with them, and also devices, quite frankly. And devices have really a life value noticeability of about a millisecond. But this trend around mobile is a much bigger thing. I think this over-focus on gadgets and network speeds and feeds and mobile tech in general is a little bit overdone. And frankly, I think mobile is less about technology and it's more about the evolving changes in behavior and the expectations of people that are carrying these devices, whether they're doing them at work or in the field or with their friends and family. I think as you build a mobile strategy, it's really critical to get underneath and understand the changes in behaviors, and especially within your target audiences. And I think you've got to figure out how to win by understanding how you can influence those behavior changes and ask yourself, what do you want your customers to think? What do you want them to feel? And what do you want them, what are they asking you to build within your strategies to satisfy those requirements? Now, to make this happen, it certainly isn't trivial. And to make this work, I think you really have to assess, the readiness, not only of your go-to-market strategy, but also your infrastructure, how you're going to, create the great user experience. You've got to think about the overall product readiness that sits behind all this. And I think it really does require you to think beyond the app. That's sort of the pretty picture. And no matter how much lipstick you may put on that pig, at the end of the day, it's the overall end-to-end experience that really counts. And for most organizations, there's really a lot to do here. Next slide. I think that, especially since the iPhone came out in 2007, and it was really the invention of the touch interface, and we really been figuring out all the different things that we can do with our mobile phone. And I think that 2014, we're going to really begin to think about not what we can do with our mobile phones, but what the mobile phones can do to us. And so I think if you give if I give you a sort of a context, let me talk about human evolution. As we evolved in being discovered or born or from our origins, we were actually on all fours. Eventually, we discovered speech. We discovered tools. We discovered the wheel and language. And our social ecosystem began to expand. And the next thing we knew, we found ourselves walking on 2 feet and standing completely upright. Now, to give you the context of mobile, now when think about looking across a group of people who are using their mobile devices, are they standing upright? Well, no. Most of them are all bent over, and we see all these funny videos about people almost getting hit by cars or falling into fountains and the ocean and things like that. So we're really still in the very early evolutions of mobile, and we're really trying to master what we can do with mobile. But I think 2014 is sort of a turning point. I think those of you who are real innovators and those of you who have futurists and strategists in your organization, you really need to start concentrating on what innovations that can be had within your business models, within how you deliver technologies and services in the way of what mobile can actually do for us in a more automated fashion. I mean, face it, we call these things smartphones, but when you think about how smart these phones are about the people that are carrying them, they're actually not so smart. And I think that in 2014, those people who start to get a much better grasp on that are going to determine who are the long-term winners and not. And in fact, Google just made this acquisition of Nest. And, a lot of people looked at this and thought, wow, spending $3.2 billion on such a large acquisition for a two-product company that's shipping only tens of thousands of units, maybe as many as 75,000 units a month, is perhaps way undervalued. I would argue that it is not only sort of a window into the movement and working environment of home that becomes key, and all of the patents and theories that they're working on long term to really understand how they can get a lot more predictive about the habits and the needs and requirements of individuals. That's key. Now, Apple has its own play there. It's iBeacon, right? And so instead of having to put net new hardware, as the Nest strategy would suggest, the fact that people are carrying lots of iDevices in their homes and throughout their work environment becomes a measurable technique that maybe Apple is trying to use in the same vein. So I think that you're beginning to see the bleeding edge, certainly led by companies like Apple and Google, really trying to get a better handle on not just identifying the tracks in the snow, but getting a lot more predictive on what the requirements are and how to automate or create new valuable convenience to people who are carrying mobile devices. Let's see, next slide. And one of the things I think that's it keeps me up at night, I think it keeps up a lot of people up at night, is all the talk about this thing that I consider a myth, which is the consumerization of IT. Look, IT is not going to be consumerized. In fact, I would argue that bringing in lots of little mobile phones and tablets into IT represent a microcosm of the overall investment in tools and services and software that organizations have put in place for 15 or 20 years. I think what's really changing is that the availability of broadband and the rich consumer experience has sort of started out with the gaming industry and now has made itself into devices that we now do carry at work through BYOD and other corporate sanctioned policies. And what consumers are really asking for is the consumerization of the experience within their work environment. And I think that's really the key. So it's not about IT, it's not about IT infrastructure, it's not even about how IT delivers services, although you can always make the case that IT needs to move a lot faster. But I think that's also part of the user experience expectation that comes out of the consumer market that needs to happen in the enterprise market. And so it's really about the consumerization of the experience. Now, when you think about apps in particular, there's some pretty disconcerting news here. I mean, 60% of the apps throughout the various app stores are downloaded only once. And on average, people in the US download about 33 apps or slightly less onto their mobile devices. And then frankly, fewer than 7 are actually used daily. Now, when I talk apps specifically about the user experience, we actually still have a long way to go because, quite often we're confusing, issues around the user experience with user interface. And I think the failure of many application designers and inherent within the mobile strategies of enterprises is not being able to separate the difference between the UI and the functionality of the overall end-to-end of experience that users want through this consumerization of the user experience. And so I think over the next few years, and I think we began to see a little bit of that in 2014, but I think that's going to be a really big conversation topic. And in fact, we're working on some thesis around something we call the mobile experience framework, that I think is going to be really key behind this. Prediction 3, next slide, please. So I think when you combine all of these forces together, our prediction 4, I guess, what we're seeing is really the need to engage your target audience and how you design, how do you build in application analytics, how you use application performance management, and who does it are really going to separate, I think, those who thrive and those who die on the merits of their mobile strategies and application development and designs. I think behind this are those 4 forces of digital nature, along with a better understanding of user behavior and the force multipliers that are driving those changes. Next. And then I think the next thing that we have to really be thinking about is how security really is going to evolve over the next few years. And I think one of the keys, and I sort of borrowed this diagram from Cisco, so if there's anybody from Cisco on the line, thank you. I have modified it a bit, as they'll probably notice, but I think that there's been a lot of talk about, focusing on securing a device and securing applications and wrapping them. But I think we really have an evolution where we're moving from security evolving to be, device aware, device centric, to much more data contextual and persistent, beginning in 2014 and moving forward. And I think that's going to be absolutely key, and it's something that everyone, I think, really has to build into their mobile strategies. Next slide. And so I think what this means is that as you're building your mobile strategies and you're walking through what are the key technologies that you need to arm yourself with to be successful throughout that design experience in terms of the overall strategy and how you present through native or web-based design structures, that the use of applications as a service, mobile backends as a service, and application performance management is absolutely going to be critical. In my estimate, that in 2014 alone, the size and adoption rate of that market is likely to triple. And I think the accelerating business demands, the speed of innovation, the complexity of mobile are continuing to put increased pressures on developers to design faster, better, and produce more agile solutions. And that is really going to help drive that change. Next. So I think that sort of leads us to some recommendations and some mandates. The first is build for scale. For most organizations, that means moving into a very comprehensive strategy. It means not building for a specific task, but also building building against a specific point solution, but building against a very scalable platform. I think organizations really need to avoid confusing the user interface with the overall user experience. In terms of security and generally around information sharing, I think that organizations are well advised to treat all mobile devices as hostile. And I think that you have to measure everything, especially app performance. You've got to really get underneath why are people using your applications, where are they using their applications, what features are working, what are not. As you're working with designers and other solutions, things built in the cloud, start looking for service level agreements around adoption, solution availability and uptime. All those things really contribute to the overall experience and the overall likability of your application and the strategy on behalf of your company that represents. And frankly, last, don't be afraid to fail. Get in the water. It's moving fast. It's going to continue to move fast. I don't see it slowing down, but worse than not acting, worse than acting and failing is not acting at all. So next slide, the stakes are really big. These are 2 of my 4 children. Lily is 2 years old. She's clearly one of the mobile first society. She can flip through more than one operating system phone and has a little version 1 iPad. And Benjamin is clearly a cashless society guy. And so, we're heading towards a very interesting generation of individuals like my two children who are growing up in a mobile-first society with brand new expectations, and the investments that you have today are built more for my children and perhaps a generation just in front of them than they are for the baby boomer and millennial market that we think about designing today. So design for the long term, build it agility, and just think about what are the business objectives, what's the competitive environment, and build a portfolio that you can really execute on and be successful. So I think that's the end, and I'm going to turn it over back to Talia. Is that right?
Yep. Thank you very much, Bob. First off, I got to say you got beautiful children.
Thank you.
Very, very cute pictures, and I'm very excited to be co-presenting with you at this webinar. Just a quick introduction. My name is Kalyan Ramanathan. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Criticism. I do want to make one quick housekeeping announcement. We do have the Q&A panel within the WebEx client, so please feel free to ask your questions. We want to make this a very interactive session. So I'm going to start out by recapping some of the trends that Bob articulated in his section, and then we will talk about how Criticism addresses some of those trends. So let's start with the recap of the previous session. So as Bob mentioned, there are 4 key trends that one needs to be aware of as you are embarking in 2014 to get control of your mobile initiatives. First and foremost, as Bob mentioned, 2014 is about thinking beyond apps, and that fundamentally means that you got to think about app experience and performance, and that since these are critical elements in terms of ensuring success of your mobile apps and your mobile initiatives. Now, there are a lot of things that you need to measure in terms of app experience and app performance. You got to measure response times, you got to measure crash rates, you got to measure engagement, and so on and so forth. And I'll talk about that in the next few slides here. We also talked about building for scale. As many of you know, mobile scale is very different from desktop scale. We're talking about lots of users, we're talking about lots of interactions. So it's very important that any system that you build in the mobile world, manages the scale, thinks about the scale from the get-go. And then finally, you got to build things for change. Mobile is all about fast time to market and iteration. So you need to have solutions that can be very easily integrated, solutions that can be very easily adapted, updated, and changed. So with that background, let's switch gears here and talk about how Criticism, helps mobile teams deliver successful mobile apps and ensure success in their mobile initiatives. So a brief introduction into Criticism first. Who are we? We are the leader in mobile application performance management, and we help our customers run their apps faster, better, and smarter. Mobile is our DNA. This is all that we do. We not only build good mobile apps, we also help our customers run good mobile apps. That's the DNA of the company. That's the DNA of the founders of these companies, of this company. We have also built a solution that operates at scale, and you can see some of the numbers on the screen here. Today we manage over 800 million active users on a monthly basis. We have tens of thousands of customer accounts and apps that we monitor on a daily basis. And we get over 3 billion events a day. We manage over 30 billion app loads a month, and those are big numbers, and that gives you a sense of our footprint in the mobile app market and the number of apps that we manage today. A little bit about our investors. We are funded by Google Ventures, Kleiner Perkins, Shasta Ventures. These are some of the folks who have a lot of experience in the mobile market, and we are really thrilled to be backed by people who understand mobile and understand where mobile is going. If we are measured by the company we keep excellent company here. Here is a smattering of some of our customers. As you can see, we do exceptionally well in the the gaming and media market, where a lot of content is going into mobile devices and into mobile apps. We also do exceptionally well in technology, financial, and e-commerce sectors, where a lot of mobile transactions today are getting, a lot of transactions, I should say, are getting executed on mobile devices. We're also seeing significant traction in enterprises that are adopting mobility because they want to improve the efficiency of their employees. Healthcare is one example. We're seeing traction in many other verticals. So Criticism as a company is indeed seeing tremendous success, and we're seeing tremendous customer adoption of our solution. So let me talk about why is mobile experience and mobile performance so challenging? Why is it so hard to manage the performance of a mobile app? And fundamentally, the mobile apps of today have become very complex. Bob talked about how cloud is affecting mobile. The interesting thing that we have seen is that most of the mobile apps that we monitor today interface with a lot of cloud services on the back end. And therefore, the performance of the mobile app is very dependent on the performance of those cloud services and the APIs offered by those cloud services. If you are a consumer type app, you're typically interfacing to social networks like Facebook and Google Plus and Twitter, etc. You're interfacing to messaging systems like Gmail and Yahoo. You may be interfacing to transaction systems and like PayPal and Square and so on and so forth. If you're an enterprise app, you're typically interfacing to your enterprise cloud services, your authentication services, your ERP systems, your CRM systems, and so on and so forth. Based on our internal analysis and research, we've seen that an app of today typically interfaces to anywhere from 6 to 7 cloud services on the back end, and this number is only increasing over time. The next thing that we see is that the app typically interfaces to these cloud services through a wide variety of network. You may have Wi-Fi networks, you may have carrier networks, you may have Bluetooth networks, and obviously the performance of your mobile app is very dependent on the networks that you use. It's also very dependent on where these networks are, because the network performance varies from geo to geo. And then finally, when you think about the client side itself, what you have is a very complex matrix out there. You got many OSs, iOS, Android, Windows, etc. You got versions of these OS. You got many devices, many form factors, and all these devices work differently. And there is essentially a lot of complexity that you have to deal on just the client side itself. So the net of this slide, there is, the key takeaway for many of you guys is that managing performance is very complex. There are many permutations that can affect the performance of the mobile app, and measuring and monitoring all those attributes and all those metrics is what makes mobile performance and experience management so hard today. Does the performance of the mobile app affect your mobile business? Absolutely it does. We had seen a stat, a while ago, which said that there are 2 million apps in the App Store today, and about 41 apps on a typical smartphone or a mobile device. Bob mentioned 33, so I guess the number has been revised down. The interesting thing here is that there is already a significant challenge to get your app onto a smart device somewhere, onto a mobile device somewhere. But let's assume that you did do that. The thing that you have to remember is that there is a user expectation in terms of the performance of the mobile app itself. Based on our research and based on our surveys, what we have seen is that the average user expects a mobile app to be launched within 2 to 3 seconds. And then they expect the response of the mobile app to be measured in the order of about 1 to 2 seconds. And if the app doesn't, meet up to that expectation, what you can see, what you see in the slide here is that 70% of users will typically delete the app, and they will never again come back to the app. The other interesting anecdotal survey that we have seen is that only 21% of the people who have problems with your mobile app actually report back the problems. Only 21% actually provide feedback in terms of the problems. So as a mobile app developer, as a mobile app team, as a mobile app operations team responsible for the performance of the mobile app, you don't even know, what are the problems that your users are seeing with these mobile apps. And the net effect of all of this is that obviously your mobile app revenues start to pull down. You're seeing degradation in your brand, especially in terms of your mobile app and its quality. And then finally, and over time, you will see your mobile apps and your mobile initiatives not provide the dividend that you expect in the marketplace. So how does criticism help address this problem? Criticism addresses this problem by providing a comprehensive mobile app performance management solution. Our solution monitors every aspect of the mobile app and its performance and experience. We monitor the cloud service API, we monitor the network and the carriers, we monitor the device, the OS, as well as the app metrics. And we do all of these things from a real user perspective. Now, why is this important? Because as you've seen in the previous slide, there are just too many permutations that affects the performance of the mobile app, and you can never test for the performance of the mobile app in a clean room, lab type environment. Having that real user perspective is extremely important, and that's what we bring to our customers. Now, once we monitor all of these metrics, we provide lots of actionable data and insights so that you can very quickly identify, prioritize, troubleshoot, and fix your mobile app performance issues. Our entire solution is built on a platform that is built from the ground up to support mobile devices and the mobile ecosystem. So our solution today works on iOS, we support Android, we support Windows Phone 8, we support HTML5, we support Windows NDK, and we support every network that is out there. So our solution is built up to understand and to support all mobile technologies. And then finally, as I mentioned before, we built a solution that really scales very well to support and address, any kind of mobile scale that you throw at it. We today we are on hundreds of millions of devices, we support hundreds of millions of users, and we provide a very highly reliable SaaS service that enables you to get up and running on the service and the solution in a matter of minutes. So let me switch gears here and ground what we're talking about in the form of some real world examples. So what I want to do here now is show you a few screenshots to show you exactly how the criticism solution helps you manage the performance of your mobile apps. And I'm going to do it in the form of the typical monitoring lifecycle. You monitor your apps, you get alerts which tells you that something is not working, you prioritize your problems, you triage and fix your problem, and then finally you trend and report issues on an as-needed basis. Now, a quick point before I get into the screenshots. Integrating criticism is as simple as integrating an SDK. Our SDK is a very lightweight piece of code. It's very easy to integrate. For a few mouse clicks and you're pretty much done. So this is less than a 5-minute activity for someone who understands, how to integrate an SDK into a mobile environment. So first and foremost, as soon as you've integrated the criticism SDK, you can start to get full visibility into your app performance. So what you see out here is a screenshot where the criticism solution has automatically discovered all the APIs, the cloud service APIs that your apps talks to on the back end. It also provides detailed visibility into the latency and the error rates as you are interfacing to these cloud service APIs. Now, why is this important? Well, the APIs and the cloud services are typically provided by a different team within the organization. And with the criticism solution, you can very easily identify any changes to these cloud service APIs. So if your server team, let's say, has changed an API, you can very quickly now see the changes to the APIs, and you can also see the changes to the changes in terms of latency, error rates, and so on and so forth to those APIs. And now you can manage the performance of your mobile app as it relates to the backend services that it interfaces to. Now, we not only provide you information about the backend services, but we also track the crashes and the exceptions that your users may be seeing as they use the app. As you can see in this screenshot, upon release of an app, we can tell you in real time as to how many app loads, how many users have downloaded the app, how many users are using the app. But more importantly, we can also tell you the crashes and the exceptions that the users are seeing with the app. Now, this provides your development teams, this provides your operations teams with the visibility in terms of what is the real user perspective of the app. How are they using the app? What is their experience with the app, so that you can very quickly identify and solve problems. Once you get all these, once you've identified a lot of problems, the next issue is one of prioritization. So what criticism provides are multiple ways by which you can prioritize all the events, all the performance issues that you're seeing in the field. Here's an excellent example whereby we are telling you the location of the users and the issues that they are seeing out in the field. Using a geolocation map such as this, you can very quickly identify which out of these issues are mission critical and business critical to you. So as an example, if there are some users in Alaska, for that matter, who are using your app and are having issues with the app, they may or may not be mission critical to your service and to your business. And using that prioritization, you can choose to either ignore these customers, or you can choose to work to actively resolve problems that these users are seeing. We also provide information and data that allows you to prioritize issues by the types of devices that people are using, by types of devices that your users are using, the types of OS that the users are on, as well as the number of impacted users. Thus, criticism allows you to focus on issues that truly matter to your business and ignore the ones that don't. Once you prioritize the issues, the next thing that you obviously have to do is to get to the root cause of the problem, to troubleshoot the problem, triage it, and then find the ideal fix for the problem. We provide you lots of sophisticated diagnostics that lets you identify the root cause of the problem. We give you detailed information about the cloud services, about the carriers that the users are on, about the actual device, including the memory usage and the storage usage of the device, so that you can very quickly hone in on the root cause of the problem. We also have a very elegant breadcrumbs technology that allows you to map user workflows to the problems that the user are seeing, so that now you can pinpoint what the user is doing, when they have run into the performance issues. One last product screenshot before I talk about some real world customer benefits. A lot of times as development teams and as operations teams, you're interfacing to many peer organizations. You're interfacing to folks who need more visibility and more reports and more trends in the form, in terms of performance and experience of the mobile app itself. So we have a lot of out of the box reports that helps our customers slice and dice this data and get trends in terms of how their mobile app is doing. You can see device trends, you can see OS trends, you can compare across all these trends, and you can see if every subsequent version and release of your app is indeed meeting the performance and quality and availability goals that you may have set for yourself as an organization. Before we conclude, a quick slide on the value that criticism provides some of our customers, and here are some real-world examples where criticism has significantly impacted in a very positive way some of the customers who use our solution. As in the case of Hearst, in the case of Hearst, we allow this customer to proactively monitor and ensure performance of their mobile apps, and this has dramatically improved the uptime of the Hearst mobile app, and also has improved the star rating for this mobile app, which definitely improves the brand of the Hearst. The Hearst enterprise within the mobile community. eBay is another great example where we have dramatically improved the mean time to problem resolution. What used to take days now takes a matter of minutes within this customer site. And then in the case of Urban Outfitter, we have again not only improved the quality of the mobile app, but we have also enabled this customer to improve the revenues that they now derive through this mobile app. So here are some examples of some real-world customers who have seen real tangible improvements and real tangible benefits by using the criticism solution. I want to close out by leaving you guys with 3 key takeaways. As Bob mentioned, 2014 is the year to think beyond mobile apps. You still have to develop mobile apps, you still have to build mobile apps, but you got to think beyond just putting together a mobile app. You got to think about what are the things that you have to do in order to make this mobile app successful in the marketplace. And performance and availability and experience management is absolutely a critical element of making a mobile app successful. Secondly, we have a proven solution. As you've seen through the examples that I've talked, in the slides. Which is today adopted and widely used, and our customers see significant and tangible benefits from the criticism solution. Thirdly, we are a very easy solution to adopt. As I mentioned before, it takes 5 minutes or less to integrate the criticism solution and start to see real tangible performance and experience metrics. So I urge for the folks on the phone today to sign up at criticism.com, sign up to a service, and kick the tires and see the values that we can bring to your organization. So with that, I want to turn it over to Tim, who is going to run us through the Q&A part of this session.
Great. Thanks, Kalyan, and thanks, Bob. Great presentation. We have a number of questions that have come in, and I promise to keep this event short, so we'll get through as many as we can in the next few minutes, and any that we don't get to, we'll contact you directly. First one, this looks like is for Bob. Bob, what do you consider best practices for building a mobile strategy?
Bob, you may be on mute here.
Okay, I did not know I was on mute. I was talking a minute. I said some great stuff.
Say it again. Say it one more time.
So it's a great question, and it is one that comes up many times a week. I'll start off by saying, what's a bad strategy? A bad strategy is just trying to go at building an app in the first place, or buying in some particular technology to deliver some functionality that you think you may or may not need. A good mobile strategy really has 3 components. It's something that we actually build into something called the Mobile IQ framework. The first is understanding what I call the business drivers. And so my business driver is a little bit different than other people's business drivers. I'm really looking more often than not around the key influencers on an organization or on a line of business or throughout an organization that is causing something to do with the way companies are delivering their applications, delivering their services and solutions, the way they're expanding the brand, or increasing market penetration, or maybe it's even something around customer service, right? And so you have to understand those business drivers, and you actually have to understand whether those pressures are internally based or whether they're externally based. And I would say that, go at this with a large population that included middle managers, senior executives, customers, and rank and file employees, and get a wide population of these things, and through a voting process, get yourself down to like 5, because you can't work on more than 5. And 5 is a magic number because it's going to make you also decide where the priorities are, based on external functions or internal. Once you have those business influences or drivers in place, then ask yourself, what are the strategic responses? What is it that you're going to do to act on those problems or those opportunities, right? And then break them down into, what are people related, what are technical resources related, what are budget related, what are time related, and bracket them down into understanding what are the quick wins, what are the longer term bets, and then what are the really long-term bets and how do you want to invest. And then finally get down to understanding what are the technologies and the specific applications that you may or may not want to build within your organization to make all that work. I'm happy to help anybody that wants to walk through that process on a formal basis, and my credentials are on the thing, but it's actually absolutely key for organizations to walk through a process like that and build a playbook.
Great. Thanks, Bob. Another good one here. What mobile apps are going to be adopted in the enterprise space? What are the trends we can foresee in 2014? And what are your thoughts on Windows 8?
Oh, that's a lot of questions there, huh?
That is, yeah.
Yeah, so I would say that still mobile in the enterprise by a large but shrinking margin is still around email and PIM management, meaning contacts, calendaring, schedule, things like that. And so there's still a lot of growth apparently left in that market. It's generally an expansion of who has it in their hands rather than a specific application focus on a lot of companies, right? So it's about deepening mobile adoption. Elsewhere, the areas where we're seeing growth are actually in business intelligence functions and business intelligence applications. And what's interesting is a lot of that had moved from sort of standalone companies and solutions, most of whom were acquired over the last couple of years. So looking for companies who already sell things like CRM and ERP and elsewhere that are now building business intelligence packages or have bought them and are integrating them in the solution. So, I would encourage people to put that on their I need to have list and start disqualifying vendors who can't deliver business intelligence to you on your tablets and phones and as you're traveling in a mobile sense. Next, unlike business intelligence, we're actually seeing some growth, consistent growth between 2011 and 2013 is a CRM. Although the focus on CRM dropped a few percentage points year over year between 2012 and 2013. And I quite frankly don't understand the reason behind that. Maybe it's because everybody already put Salesforce or Zoho or Sugar CRM or somebody on their thing. I'm not so sure. And then I would say sort of rounding up the top 5 is a collaboration framework. And so that was kind of flat year over year, but still, within the top 5. Beyond that, it's more consumer-oriented stuff, map and directions, it's social media access. And I would say that if you looked across all of the different applications, the highest growth, or still very low in the priority, is video conferencing and chat. So hope that helps. Oh, Windows. So Windows 8. I have used Windows phones, Windows RT devices. I have a Nokia 2520, which I find to be very, very fast. And I have used, but still don't own a Surface Pro 2 because it was here on loan. I actually like overall that Microsoft, through Windows 8, is creating a more unified experience, irrespective of the screen size that you're picking up. I will also say that, based on the inquiries, and over 3 years, we've worked with about 1,200 enterprises in some form. The enterprise leaders in general are like a dry riverbed in search of water for Microsoft to actually be successful in the mobile market. And it really comes down to a couple of things. The number one is that there's a file management system and a file structure in place. Number 2 is about domain citizenship, I guess, for lack of a better word. And that's something you don't get from Android. Both of those things are things you don't really get from Android. You don't get from Apple, certainly. So I think there's definitely some balls in the air at Microsoft. I don't know where they're headed yet. This is an opportunity for them to lose, and it's a market that really wants them to be successful. And the comfort zone is there because 96% of all applications using the enterprise are built on a Windows framework of some sort.
Great, thanks, Bob. Another one. Can you briefly discuss the mobile cost of ownership?
Right. Well, that's sort of the dirty little secret in the industry. If you just think about the United States, there's something. But by my numbers, it's 85 million. I've seen some other estimates that are upwards to 100 million, quote unquote, knowledge workers here in the United States. When you do all of the multiplication around the cost of MDM on a per user on an annualized basis, when you take a look at the amount of self-diagnosing that goes on within users that cost on average something near $250 to $300 a year. If you look at the cost of an L1 ticket, so first entry diagnostic ticket with an IT around $100. If you factor in that more than 50% of that population are carrying 2 devices, and you put that all together, it's already a 1.8 or 1.9 billion with a B dollar problem. And I think from 2014 through 15, as the penetration and take-up rate and the expansion of applications that are being used, to Kyan's point, the performance issues and monitoring them and getting underneath them and fixing all this, this cost of ownership is likely to approach $3.5 billion economy.
Great, thanks, Bob. We are getting short on time, but we're going to have one for Kalyan real quick. Kalyan, the question is?
There's a question on additional runtime overhead for the criticism solution itself. We've done a lot of analysis, and the runtime overhead for the criticism solution is very, very minuscule. We have customers like LinkedIn, PayPal, Yahoo, and all of these, fairly large enterprises using our solution. We have done analysis with these customers, and we've seen very, very, very insignificant runtime overheads for using the criticism solution. There was also, I think, a question on some integrations for the criticism solution. There was I think I'm reading this right. Criticism solution, does it support Checkpoint to keep track of user interactions? We don't support Checkpoint currently, though we do have a REST-based API, and we have many out-of-the-box integrations built for the criticism solution. So using our APIs, I think our customers, consultants, etc., should be very easily be able to integrate our solution with Checkpoint or any other IT management solutions that are out there.
Okay, great. We are definitely out of time. Unfortunately, there was a lot of questions that we couldn't get to. For those of you that submitted a question, we will reply directly back to you. Also, we have recorded the event, and it will be available as a video on demand shortly. I'd like to thank both Bob and Kalyan for their time today, and we'd like to thank everyone for attending. Have a great day.